Malolele, half a day, and welcome to the Pacific Way. We have an exciting lineup of stories for you today. Pacific Island cultures are based around the idea of strong community, and the power of our community is realized through consensus, cooperation, and mutual understanding. Our communities come through in the most trying of times to overcome natural and man-made disasters. In the true spirit of a One Pacific, the Pacific Islands Emergency Management Alliance was established in 2014 to strengthen the coordinated approach to emergency services and better prepare, respond, and recover from disasters.
Over the past decade, the risk and intensity of disasters have dramatically increased in the Pacific region and have highlighted a number of weaknesses in disaster and emergency management arrangements. It is increasingly evident that no one agency can successfully manage these events alone. In response to this challenge, Australia and New Zealand are partnering with the Pacific Community, SPC, to implement the Pacific Islands Emergency Management Alliance, PEMA project.
Pacific Islands Emergency Management Project, or PEMA project, is supported by Australia and New Zealand. It runs to 2022. It works mainly across the emergency management agencies, in particular police, fire, emergency services, and the National Disaster Management Offices across 14 countries.
At the regional level, there is engagement with the Pacific Islands Forum Secretariat, Pacific Islands Chiefs of Police, Pacific Islands Fire and Emergency Services Association, and Fire and Emergency Services in Australia and New Zealand. To strengthen collaboration and coordination amongst emergency management agencies, the PEMA project hosted its annual meeting in July 2019, bringing together key stakeholders from across the Pacific to review project progress, share experiences, develop networks, and plan for future activities. The 2019 annual meeting focused on key activities the PEMA is undertaking in 2019-2020, the development of strategic roadmaps for emergency management at the national and regional level, gender equality and empowerment strategy, and building a more sustainable capacity development model. These planned activities are looking at addressing some of the gaps in the emergency management architecture in the Pacific.
The lack of funding and budget to facilitate the equipment that we need for disaster. So it's a challenge for us, and also that our capability in the area of training to enhance the skills and knowledge of our staff to actually deliver the work that we do on the ground when there's a disaster.
The challenges right now is in terms of the alliance is just bringing everyone together. That is one of the biggest challenges that we have. Like I said, we're very comfortable working in joint exercises and response operations, but coming to sit together outside that circle, talking, doing joint planning, even just informal discussions, that's one of the biggest challenges that we have.
Some of the challenges that we encounter is that currently I don't think we have a forum where NDMO directors and emergency management partners that we are involved with can come together and share ideas and share best practices and help each of us improve our emergency management and disaster response in our respective countries. Another one is it'll be good if we have a standard way of dealing with the response in each nation that it can allow us to share resources, capacity from one nation can help with another.
One of the main initiatives to help address these challenges is through the development of strategic roadmaps for emergency management. This is a joint commitment by PIMA members to agree on priority actions to build trust, teamwork and leadership amongst themselves to better prepare and respond to disasters.
With PIMA coming in to assist and support us, we are quite fortunate on that. With the project they been assisting, it really develops our capacity and capabilities, especially in training, to develop our staff's knowledge and skills, and also to it's a step forward to us for as a whole for the organization, not only for Tonga Fire and Emergency Services, but other agencies. So interoperability is that they're trying to enhance building trust, leadership. That's all about the area that PIMA is trying to strive for us to implement. Yeah?
How I see PIMA helping us with addressing these challenges is that it's provided us with now with an avenue to address these gaps that we have. For Vanuatu, the PIMA is going to be helping us with developing our emergency and disaster management roadmap, and that's something that we need to happen.
The PIMA project is currently undertaking the development of strategic roadmaps for emergency management in up to 12 countries in the Pacific. This is a really important process and is really a two-step process that involves firstly visiting the various countries to gauge their level of willingness and readiness to undertake the roadmap process, including the crucial buy-in from the local PIMA members. The success of the roadmap process is underpinned, in fact, by the willingness of national emergency management agencies to identify and prioritize actions that address the gaps that hinder closer collaboration and cooperation between them. This work importantly supports the long-term outcome of the PIMA project, which is really all about ensuring that our Pacific Island governments and communities are better prepared and able to respond to disasters and recover more quickly.
Australia and New Zealand are key partners of Pacific Island countries in responding to and recovering from disasters. Their ongoing support through initiatives such as the PIMA project is further evidence of this commitment at both the national and regional level.
New Zealand and Australia want to ensure that our Pacific neighbours have the resources that they need to be prepared for when disasters strike. So together, we have jointly invested close to $5 million over 5 years to fund the Pacific Islands Emergency Management Alliance. This initiative was funded following requests from national disaster management officers across the region. We view SPC as a natural implementing partner for the Pacific Islands Emergency Management Alliance. SPC has deep engagement across the Pacific region, and they have strong technical expertise in disaster risk management and disaster risk reduction. In addition to supporting disaster preparedness, New Zealand and Australia also remain committed to providing direct humanitarian assistance if a disaster strikes and we receive a request from our neighbours in the Pacific.
To support gender diversity and women in leadership in emergency management, the PIMA project is developing a gender equality and empowerment strategy. This strategy will articulate what the PIMA project aims to achieve in strengthening gender equality in emergency management in the Pacific, as well as develop leadership pathways through training courses, work exchanges, learning opportunities, etc. for emergency management practitioners, including targeted interventions for high-potential female practitioners. Over the life of the PIMA project, there are certain activities that will remain as the focus areas across the region. the strategic roadmaps for emergency management at the national level in up to 12 countries, a regional roadmap to support the Boe Declaration Action Plan and the Sustainable Capacity Development Model, the development and implementation of the Gender Equality and Empowerment Strategy. The 2020 PIMA annual meeting will present the opportunity to review these activities, showcase local initiatives, and plan ahead as they continue the Pacific disasters, emergency and management sector.
Thank you for joining us. You're watching The Pacific Way. The Pacific is renowned for its unique arts and crafts, influenced by centuries of cultural and traditional practices. From the canoes that skim through the vast oceans to simple yet creative fishing crafts. These are all unique to each island. We take a journey to explore our Pacific heritage.
Cultural heritage is often unique and changes over time. Some of it is irreplaceable, and this places the responsibility of preservation on the current generation. Artifacts and objects such as artworks and other forms of cultural expressions are collected in museums and art galleries. Museums therefore have an important role in our society as repository for our cultural artifacts which symbolize our heritage and history. There are 45 museums in the Pacific region housing artifacts and objects of cultural significance. In September 2010, members of the Pacific Islands Museum Association, or PIMA, gathered in New Caledonia for their annual general meeting. The inaugural meeting coincided with the 4th Melanesian Arts Festival in the northern province capital, Kone. Established in 1994, PIMA consists of 22 members from Melanesia, Micronesia and Polynesia. The one-day meeting discussed various issues facing museums around the Pacific and how to find solutions to these problems.
When it comes to issues, some of the issues that we discussed today is capacity building. And one thing we look at capacity building is to really try and work with young people and encourage them to also look at heritage as an option for their career. There's lots of universities and lots of technical schools that offer study opportunities, to study about Pacific cultures and Pacific heritage.
The cultural mapping program was also a subject of discussion.
And this is an issue that is not dealt in well.
Tonga, Vanuatu, Solomon Islands, Tuvalu, Palau and the Federated States of Micronesia are currently undertaking this program.
There's 4 components to that project. The first project is basically strengthening capacity through cultural policy. So we had a cultural policy workshop right after the 23rd Council of Pacific Arts meeting, which brought all the countries together. And then 6 countries are doing an exercise of cultural mapping, planning and policy.
Information communication technologies, ICTs, play a crucial role in recording traditional knowledge. Hence, PIMA has set up a Pacific Museum online to gather collections from around the Pacific region and also network with overseas museums that hold a Pacific collection.
To really get collections from around the Pacific region and also network with overseas museums that hold Pacific collection and connect all the collections together so that our people in the region can have access to these objects which many of us have never seen, not even our parents' generation, but using technology to benefit us. So that's another exciting project, but it's also an issue as well, particularly with intellectual property right, because some of these objects are put online. It's very hard to police. So at the same time, you want to educate our people, but at the same time, you want to safeguard traditional knowledge and designs.
With the Festival of Pacific Arts scheduled for Solomon Islands in 2012, PIMA will collaborate with other organizations to run workshops and advocacy programs prior to the festival. PIMA has encouraged young people around the Pacific to support our museums, to support our heritage today and into the future. Although museums will not be substitute for human heritage embedded in our living cultures, they do, however, provide us with the knowledge of how past generations lived and also how our future generations will understand how we live now.
That brings us to the end of another episode of The Pacific Way. We leave you with this performance of the American Samoan delegation at the 2012 11th Festival of Pacific Arts in Honiara, Solomon Islands. Be sure to check out the Pacific Community YouTube channel or the Pacific Way Facebook page for more stories and videos. Until next week, Tofani and Modemanda.
Memo le pese tu sapele iloa le anga tonu lea o fia fia mafasa boa le sini na walon fa